Bigger than Capes.
Give me some outside.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and then I watched it.
Right.
Hello, welcome to Bigger Than Capes. I'm Zach, and this week I'm joined by Will and Matt. Collectively, Will and Matt. How you guys doing?
Good. Very well, man.
Pretty good. Excited to get a chance to talk about Thought Bubble.
Yeah, not sure when this is going out, but it's been some time since Thought Bubble.
An amount of time has passed.
Yes, time has passed. And here we are, stronger than ever.
Yep, here we are, born to be kings. We're the princes of the universe.
Off to a flying start, if you ask me. So I guess general kind of thoughts about Thoughts Bubble, if you will.
It was great to have it back. Having a year without it was pretty rough. It wasn't the roughest thing about this last year, obviously, but it really sucked. I for one have been going to it for a very long time at this point, and it's like I said before, it's one of the only sort of comics conventions that I go to. It's got a really unique atmosphere and feel to it. So having it back was so welcome, especially at this sort of time. And it was pretty well managed in terms of COVID stuff. They did all of your checks and everything before you're allowed in. Everyone who was going in had to have a pass, and everything had to have been vaxxed. So yeah, I felt fairly safe inside, and also I got to have a lovely weekend away with my friends for the first time in forever. I'll introduce you to them at some point, Zach. But no, it was nice. We got an Airbnb together and just hung out. Will and I watched Hot Fuzz and
Django.
And we were insufferable.
Frequently. As is our want. It's what we were put on Earth to be.
Yep.
Follow that truth, Will.
I don't know nothing about no skeletons, etc.
Every year.
Farmers mums.
We know. Do you want any more entirely out of context quotes?
Sorry, Zach. Go on.
I just know you're going to say more. I know who you are.
Zach.
I'm done.
Zach, sorry. You've got a mustache.
I really thought you were going to go for the shallow New Year's grave joke.
No.
Like every other bloody week.
Oh, but... you mean Peter Hanrahan?
That's right.
What does it say, Zach? Thought Bubble? Thank you.
I'm just going to edit all of this so you just seem like a maniac.
Would it be much different from what I'm ready to do?
No, it's kind of exactly the same, to be fair. I think a lot of what you said about Thought Bubble is true. My only complaints would be, I think it did suffer from not having a kind of social aspect of not doing an event on the Friday or a mid-con event.
And also, there were a lot of dropouts as well, obviously, because of COVID.
Both things which I understand are completely out of their control, absolutely. But Without being too much of a dick about it, though, I do think if you put up most of your staff and creators in one hotel, and everyone hangs out in that hotel, it could be argued that you may as well as put on a mid-con party at that point, because the same thing's
That's
happening.
basically what's happening.
You're just not inviting everybody. So yeah, I would argue that having no social events but still having a social cancels each other out. But hey, who am I to, report on the truth?
We did watch wrestling.
We did after the convention by quite a while. But sure, yeah, we watched wrestling.
We were in the house that we stayed at.
It's part of the same holiday.
And this is a side complaint that I'm just never going to back down on. Better in Leeds. Leeds is just
I would agree.
way more convenient. It's half an hour on a train versus what feels like a bloody eternity to get to Harrogate.
And plus, it was often in the armory, which was cool because
which is awesome.
There was a machine gun.
That's right, yeah, and cannons.
And you could pay to shoot the machine gun.
But yeah, no, I miss Leeds. I miss the armories.
Yeah.
Harrogate's fine.
Yeah.
They should put that on the sign when you arrive. Welcome to Harrogate. It's fine. I'm going to back down on just criticising just towns in Yorkshire for just a tad. I'll circle back round. So should we do some kind of talking about the stuff we've picked up?
Yeah, and like I've got a few things. Like I know, are we gonna do what? Like maybe 3 things each that we thought were particularly cool to be grabbed?
Yeah.
600 things each. I agree. Anyone want to start this shindig?
I'll go for it.
No.
The first thing. Well, it was only my second time at Thought Bubble Baby. So I have no context for Leeds. I have simply a pre and post COVID version in my mind. And while this was a bit smaller than last time, as you say, with a few kind of dropouts and things, one thing I was really happy to see at Thought Bubble that on the internet and whatnot, comics seems to be a world of divisions and like
a land of contrast, if you will.
Fandom somewhat hating each other and the creators and the companies and etc. And Thought Bubble felt like it had absolutely none of that. It felt entirely inclusive and diverse, and there were tons of stuff there that I had there were tons of stuff there that I had no interest in. But it was the living side by side with everything else very harmoniously. It was a very chilled out atmosphere and one that I enjoyed. Onto the books themselves that I am going to talk about. The first one's a little bit of a cheat because it is 2 volumes, but to be fair, they're not very long, so that's what you're getting. And they are Manu and Puno by Gustavo Vargas. They are Peruvian cyberpunk stories about a sort of society in Peru in the future. I must admit, I've just backed the 3rd book, Pilcuyo, on Kickstarter, and it's the kind of story that feeds you bits as it goes through. So I can't really give you a brief rundown of what's going on, but it is about this kind of Peruvian society that's built partly on kind of cybernetics and machinery. It's about 2 women who live in the jungle. One has a dark past, and that past kind of catches up with them, and it includes sort of biological supercomputers and somebody who potentially can hack everybody else's kind of cybernetics. Goes on like that. But very cool, really good art. They come in these kind of A5 sized
are they like almost digest size?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're kind of like digest size. The art's really cool in them. They're very like pencily and really colourful and show off a lot of kind of Peruvian architecture, I guess. And there are bits about it that, culturally I don't fully understand. But I think it, in a world of a lot of American comics and as we said before, like we don't get a lot of Euro stuff. It's nice to see a completely different setting and culture being the basis for what is otherwise just a pretty cool like cyberpunk story. So that's that one. If anybody is interested, you've kind of missed your chance to back number 3. But yeah, I'm sure if you search for Gustavo Vargas, I bet you could pick these up. The next book I want to talk about is Afterlife Inc. There's quite a few different people on this. It's written by John Locke. There's art by Ash Jackson, Jerry Gaylord, Roy Hewson Stewart, Jack Tempest, Ash Jackson. Oh, said that twice. Will Tempest, not the same as Jack Tempest, Del Borovich, and for a third time, Ash Jackson. So there's a few different artists in it, but it is essentially about a fella called Jack Fortune, who is a con artist, and he dies. And when he dies, he goes to the afterlife, but begins to run the afterlife like a business. And then, cue hilarity and supernatural adventure. But he got me with his sales pitch. There is in the back of this book a map, a kind of I don't know how else you'd say it, sort of a 3-dimensional map of what the afterlife looks like. And he had a wooden version on his desk, and that did it for me. So I bought his book. That looks fun. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is Scroll Comics Magazine, which is like a big, oversized anthology, comics magazine, would you believe? It has loads of different styles in it, loads of different creators. Some that looks really old-fashioned, like sort of 30s, 40s, 50s style. Some of it's dead modern. It's sci-fi, it's fantasy. There's some kind of sports comics. It's got absolutely tons of stuff in it, loads of things. It also includes Gustavo Vargas, my new best friend, who
Nice.
also writes a story in here. But because there are so many creators, it was at tons of people's desks, and every time I saw it, it looked interesting, and eventually I bought it. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about anthologies quite a lot, you and I, Zach.
Yeah.
We have. It's kind of our thing, apparently.
Yeah, it's kind
Not
of
intentionally, I don't think. It's just happened.
It's just the things that we keep buying together seem to be anthology books. And this is another one of those. It feels maybe a bit less focused around a specific theme of some of the others that we've looked at. It is just kind of a group of creators who got together and wrote a load of short stories and then kind of piled them together into a book. But yeah, really varied, and there's definitely going to be something for everybody in there. Loads and loads of good stuff.
All sounds good, man. I also picked up Manu and Puno, which I've intended to back in every single Kickstarter, and still haven't read either of them, but I bought them, and I also missed the end of the Kickstarter for the third one. So yeah, that's.
You'll have to apologise to Gustavo. I'll hook you up and
your bestie. So yeah, in classic Zach fashion, I bought 2, missed the third. Here we are.
But he was a very nice man, and he signed my books. And
He was really nice. That's true.
I got chatting with him about 80s action figures.
Yeah, he ticks our boxes, I think.
So Matt, do you want to take it or?
I'm happy to take it. So the first one is Bunny by I Valentine, who sells a lot of his stuff under the name of Occult Trash. He's done some really good stuff. In the past, I have a number of books that he's put out that have just things like raccoons just doing occult occult sacrifices and stuff. It's cool. This one though is about a topic that's much closer to home for him, and I is a trans man, and this is a sort of semi-autobiographical book about their sort of self-insert, their kind of OC character called Bunny, who is, as the name would imply, a bunny rabbit. who is also like trans masculine, but it's kind of about the anxiety that comes from being trans, but still kind of enjoying, appearing pretty, appearing sort of in a more sort of traditionally feminine guys. Like, it's very short. It's only about 8 or 9 pages, and they tend to be, and they're like one panel pages. But it's really quite powerful. Like, actually, like, and also like the art's really nice. It's like simple and like, but it occasionally like gets you when you just see like you just look at some of the anthropomorphic sort of animal characters and you're like, oh, that's a cute dog, and stuff like that. Like that, just you're just like reading this like really interesting, really sort of introspective work, and then you just go, ha ha ha, cute dog. It's really good. Next one is Wolven Daughter by Ver, which I know you picked up their one of their prints as well, didn't you, Will?
I did, yeah. I picked up Wolven Daughter as well, and and I bought a print.
Like, this is the first time I've seen anything by Ver.
Yeah, me too.
And I was blown away.
Yeah.
This is some of the most gorgeous work I've seen, like, in like just in terms of just seeing a totally new person. Like, who I'd had not heard anything about before. I was just absolutely blown away. Like, there's these amazing little bits where, like, it's just the detail in fabrics even in it, like, and the way that they look, like the way that they look embroidered, and the monster design that looks like almost like the gaping dragon from Dark Souls. It's fantastic. Like, the color palette and how styles like change to fit styles slightly change to fit the feel of the kind of mood they're attempting to generate. Like, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, in a building full of art, they stood out. I think, like, their work looked very different and kind of, as you say, it wasn't connected to any properties that I was aware of, but just stood on the merit of its own quality, I think.
Like, yeah, the story is also good. And like, I would recommend reading it as well as just looking at it. But it's great. It's a sort of it's a sort of semi like medieval setting that has like monsters and like religious orders, and occasionally looks like it's sort of Slavic, occasionally looks like it's like in the steppes, like occasionally sort of, yeah, just like all sorts. It's so good. And yeah, just look up Ver. They will blow your mind.
Great choice.
And I'm sad that I forgot to go back and buy a print.
Buy more.
It was my big fave. And my final one is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Mark Penman and John Reppion. I've been a fan of Penman for quite a few years. I almost always end up buying something from him whenever I go. I've got like a couple prints of his on my walls. And I think I've got all of the Amurian Tales books. This book is a real step up in terms of like his art, particularly the way he draws the Green Knight. There's a level of like a level of almost unhingedness, like the way you feel him, like how he's of a different world to the other characters around him, like the way that his face contorts and changes, his eyes like bulge, his smile sort of like, you know, his mouth looks like it could, like it could swallow you, sort of whole, taking you into like another place and time. Like it's gorgeous. And like as a person who has read a lot of chivalric romance and like Arthurian theory, as well as like Arthurian legend, like it's cool. Get this book.
Can I ask you, Matt? I recently watched the Green Knight.
Oh, I still haven't seen it.
That's what I was going to ask. So question answered.
I really want to.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really liked it, but it reminded me, as you were obviously talking about, a book of the same thing.
Yes. So then I believe that leaves us with Zachary. Where have you been? Haven't I forgotten?
No, it's me, technically, I guess. It's weird that you're full naming me. Matthew William.
Zachariah.
I would love the reveal that you're not really William and you're like Wilhelm or
Wilford.
That would be good. For a while at university, somebody thought I was called Wilf, and that just sort of stuck. So
that's kind of annoying. But
yeah, sadly, it is just William. It's been a bit of a cross to bear, but I'm living with it.
Do you have a pair of Wish Wellingtons?
If only.
Have you considered changing it up and like just one day being like, "No, I'm Bill now"?
Do you know? Oddly enough, between when I grew up in, this is not very relevant for the podcast, but I was born in Stockport, but I grew up in East Sussex. And when I went to East Sussex, I from the ages of about 7 to when you go to like big boy school, about 11.
11, yeah.
Big boy school.
I was Bill.
Okay.
William is a tough name as a kid. It's an easy pick on. So yeah, I went straight. I mean, I tried Buck because I was watching a lot of Buck Rogers at the time.
Yeah.
But nobody was buying that, so I settled on Bill in the end.
I was
Mate,
so close
if you want to be Buck, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
What's the point? Why are we here? Oh right, yeah, me. I'm Zach. Uri. Sometimes that's been mistaken for.
That's how we got into it.
Matt. So first up for me is Kobe Alone by Beck Kubrick.
Yeah.
Which is a all ages story about a kid called Kobe who is alone and decides to use a forbidden spellbook to summon a friend. I don't want to give too much away, but it's adorable and it's really good. So, yeah.
It sounds very sweet.
It is. There's only ever going to be... Well, allegedly, Beck is only going to have the 400 copies that are currently printed. So if you want one, I would say move quickly. It's all kind of risograph, so it's all pink and blue, just 2 color printed, but it's real pretty and it's real good. And
I can confirm he's not lying.
I can't confirm it, but I believe you.
It seems, I'm on board.
Seems legit.
And then we get weirder for my second pick, which is I Was Here by, okay, obviously I'm missing a last name here, but by Toby I Like Cats.
Oh, them.
Yeah. And
I like cats. I like every kind of cat.
I also bought a lot of stickers from Toby and other stuff. I only realised now that I've gone from Kobe to Toby in a kind of progression, but hey, whatevs. Which basically talks about how during lockdown, Toby got quite into walking around cemeteries and realised the kind of things you see everywhere, and like the repeated stuff, like urns with a cloth over them or broken columns and stuff like that. So kind of is largely just drawings of bits of cemeteries and photos of cemeteries and a kind of guide to the things you will see in cemeteries, like broken columns and such. But as an incredibly goth teenager, there was a period of my life where I hung out in Chatterton Cemetery quite a lot, playing acoustic guitar because my mum and stepdad kept getting annoyed at me playing guitar at home. So this just speaks to me as a kind of not much of a comic that's more of a art book than anything. But
Look, it's an
it's
experience.
nice. Yeah, I quite like cemeteries. They're weird. And, so yeah, check that out.
You
And
don't want to be buried in a pet one.
in a pet cemetery. Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to live your life again.
There are cats in this as well, because there were cemetery cats. There are always cemetery cats. I'm sure you all know that.
That's a given.
So yeah, that's my second pick. My third pick is something I haven't actually read yet, but I will be, which is something Matt picks up as well, which is Sex Stories.
Yeah.
Which was represented at Thought Bubble by
lovely people.
Lovely people, yeah. Harry Ann Bentley, who is responsible for this kind of English translation. I don't know, not kind of, it is the English translation. There's actually 4 volumes of Sex Stories in Spain. 2 of the creators were there who I have business cards for, which were Tony Batres and Rain V Arts. I assume they have a human name as well, but that's what the business card says. But it's kind of just a sex positive erotic anthology, which haven't read yet, will be reading soon. And Marta was super excited about it because when we were in Barcelona a few months ago, she bought the first one, thought it was great. We then had to specially trek back to the same comic book shops to buy the other 3. So the idea that you can now get it in English at an English convention is pretty cool. So yeah, those were my main 3. I do have a kind of tag along one that's not as indie or small press, but I'm going to throw it in anyway because the artist is from Manchester and fuck it. And this is definitely a Will and Matt book. So, yeah. And I bought the last copy at Thought Bubble, so that doesn't help. But hey.
Yeah,
so, That Texas Blood by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips is basically about an old man police officer in Texas who is kind of, doubting if he's still good at being a detective.
If he's still got it.
Yeah. And it's just really good. It's kind of got that. I'll get there. Leave it with me. It's kind of got a little bit of a Southern Bastards vibe.
Okay.
And murder mystery elements, crime things in there. Interesting to me that anyone from Manchester is drawing a book set in Texas as well. There's just a world of difference there. But really, really good, and that's from Image, so yeah, way more mainstream. But definitely check that out because
fits our purposes.
I didn't until Thought Bubble, and I wish I'd read this sooner. So yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
Much like both of you, I also bought a fuck ton of prints and pins and all manner of other stuff that I would gladly do shout outs for everyone, but there's just too many names.
I have 2 very quick shout outs I want to do. partially, like, they are people I bought prints from, but like, one of them had a book as well that I really wish I'd had the money to buy, but I talked to them about it, looked through it, and discussed it with them. It is Adam Allsuch Boardman, who did a number of these like prints that are all like indexes, like of like one was of like 40 or something different cryptids. One is of
Metal Gear Solid?
Is Metal Gear Solid, with each game like of the mainline series. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Zach, it doesn't have Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Oh no.
Like, yeah, I know how much that must hurt you. But and had a Twin Peaks one as well.
Yeah.
But what was very cool that was a project I talked with them for about 15-20 minutes about, which is they had a book there that was all of their art. They'd worked with like some local historians to find out about all of the local old cinemas of like historic cinemas of Leeds, and to find like archive material that had all of the like the facades and front pieces of the places, and they'd drawn all of these various cinemas with like their dates and everything, and with a little bit kind of about where they were and stuff. And as someone who really loves old and independent cinemas, like, I want to buy this book, and anyone who's got an interest in like historic cinema and cinemas should give it a look. That name again is Adam Allsuch Boardman. And
he's actually someone I was going to mention because I'm most of the way through his Illustrated History of UFOs book, which
nice,
is real good if you're into UFOs.
Yeah, that was another book I wanted to get. But I also, just a person who had some very cool prints and was just very nice to talk to, was Brobex, Brobex. I chatted with them for a while and bought a bunch of prints from them. They had some Yakuza and some Berserk ones, and I'll always buy Berserk prints. It's my curse.
It's who you are.
I have been branded, so now I have to. Look them up. They are cool. And yeah, so those are my two sort of like honorable mentions.
Sweeten up.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. There were a lot of great other people. I think Family Store UK had a lot of cool kind of t-shirts and sweaters and stuff. They also had a print by that artist I like, Jen Woodall, which I bought, which was awesome. But yeah, a lot of good people with a lot of good art. James Chapman as well. I think we all bought stuff from James Chapman, who had like the little film prints.
Postcard.
Kind of slightly bigger than postcard. I bought Rocky Horror and the Addams Family, and I can't remember what you guys bought. But
I got Royal Tenenbaums.
I got a Klaus one for Catherine.
Yes. And I got a Paddington sticker.
And I got a They Live sticker.
I wanted
his art's really, really cute.
He didn't have any They Live when I was there, but
you need to buy your prints faster.
Unfortunately, Fortunately, I got a sticker for a film that is officially better than Citizen Kane.
Officially. It embarrasses me that I can't remember the gent's name, but he was the guy who drew all of our pets.
Oh, I can do this. Jim Medway.
Yes,
Yes.
because he was an incredibly nice man, and I really like the picture he did.
Yep.
And it's just incredibly fun idea at a convention.
Also
That's
has
true.
some very good books.
Yes, yeah.
Like
Yes.
award-winning, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Also, since we're this deep, Black Smoke as well, that both me and Matt bought pins from.
Yeah.
They just had a lot of pins. I don't know if they had anything else. Had like half a
don't
table
remember.
covered in pins. I bought a crow. I think you bought something else. We
bought
got
a
free
swordfish.
stickers. You bought a swordfish, but it was a fish with a sword. Shit, yeah, you did.
That's the kind of
Um,
one I like.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to leave it there because I feel like we could easily slip into a black hole of...
Yeah, but if you get the chance, Thought Bubble is always worth going to, whoever you are, as long as as long as you're cool, like everyone there is cool. Like,
yeah,
everyone is like themselves. It's one of the most sort of warm and accepting and like fun conventions that like I've ever been to in all the years I've been going to conventions.
Completely agree. I think it's something you should go check out yourself. And for the sake of balance, I quite like Harrogate.
Yeah, but you've not. Oh wait, Zach, there was one bonus to Harrogate that Leeds didn't have, and that would be
The sandwich shop I went to on the way to the con on Sunday.
a particular two particular benefits actually, and they're both gentlemen that we bumped into on the Saturday morning.
Oh, Kyle, who I follow on Twitter.
No, one was a particular muscular biscuit.
Oh, Kyle, who I follow on Twitter.
Fit Cookie, who had a terrifying,
cookie body. Let's be honest. Only one way to describe it.
Empty, vacant stare.
And the other was a little gentleman from Extreme Championship Wrestling, who
I forgot about balls.
saw in the window of a shop. Yeah, that's right. Zach's long-wanted Balls Mahoney action figure.
Still don't have it. If anyone's listening to this and you have a Balls Mahoney action figure from like 2006, 2007,
send it to 123 Fake Street.
123 Fake Street.
I'm telling you, I bought most of the CW action figures. I got me a Dreamer, I got Sandman, I got Kevin Thorne, I got Elijah
Simon
Burke.
Diamond.
I was not popular in about 2006.
Yeah, but also like you're the biggest Kevin Thorne mark I know.
He was a vampire, but they didn't want to say that, so they kept describing him as someone with a gothic lifestyle.
Same as they did with Gangrel and the Brood.
He came to the ring with a woman who hung upside down from the ropes like a bat and had fangs. Come on.
But he was also the color swapped Undertaker.
Yeah, he was. He was Mordecai.
He's not a zombie. He just has an undead lifestyle.
Well, so now that you've heard us and third us, I was trying to do the Mordecai hear me, fear me.
Oh, right. Is that what you think that was?
That was
yeah, hear me, fear me. There's some wrap up, and then he has the big cross. Look, reminiscing over Mordecai is neither here nor there. That's between us and 2004 SmackDown.
So Mordecai is Zach's favorite wrestler. Thought Bubble was great. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bigger than capes.
Bigger than capes.
Bigger than capes.
Remember.
There we go. I think that's a great ending.